Okay, we're ready to go to step 2 of focaccia. We've mixed the dough. The dough's had its primary rest. We're at an hour and 30 minutes. That's normally I like to give an hour and 40 to 2 hours, but I peeked into this before I actually reveal this. So I saw this is moving along quite fast. So we're going to go ahead and step it up. So as you see, I covered this up. I just use my mixing bowl. No big problem, or it's very readily available, and then it catches a little bit of the dough in the garbage bag. So you can see very, very airy. You can see the air bubbles in it. Now we're going to go to step 2, which is the stretch and fold. Traditionally this is called punch and fold, and because you had a very, very stiff dough, you would punch it down, knock the air out, and then you fold the dough over on itself. Well, artisan baking, we come at it from a different angle. We want to preserve the large air bubbles. We want to preserve the very, very porous and open cell structure in the bread. So we don't punch it, we stretch and fold. And what we're going to do is, what this stretching and folding does is it takes this loosely organized mass of gluten that we've been building up during the dough rest stage. And again, the dough rest stage is very important for gluten formation. It's not just the kneading that forms the gluten. The acids that build up during the first fermentation that we've brought into the dough through the pre-fermentation, these fortify, strengthen the protein, and the protein develops. You remember that when we mixed this, it was very, very loose, very disorganized. You're going to see now how well organized it is. Now what I have to do is add some olive oil to my hands. Remember, we didn't add olive oil to the dough. We got it in the, put it alongside the edge of the mixing bowl, and now I'm going to put some on my hands because this dough is very, very sticky. It is. So what I'm going to do is oil my hands, put a little bit more. And believe me, in the bakeries what we do, we have all this fermentation going on in large tubs, and the tubs are always oiled. So first thing is remove the spatula. You can see again that's gathered a lot of strength. Clean the dough off. So stretch and fold. Gather the dough up. Use my fingers. I take it, I pull it, and fold it over on itself. Rotate it 180 degrees. Gather it up. It's still sticking a little bit. Stretch, fold. Okay, that's one side, the other. Now I've folded it, turn it again. I'm going to take the other side of the dough, stretch, fold it over. Now for the final. Now because this dough is so slack, this is its first fermentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just repeat the again. Folding strengthens it. Do it again, side to side. Stretch, fold, stretch, fold. There you got it. Now, when the first time we looked at this, you probably wouldn't have imagined that this would gather itself into a loaf shape, but it has. And so I'm going to take a little bit more oil, put it down. Oops, a little bit more than I wanted, but it's all flavor in the end. And take it and flip it over. That's that. Now I'm going to get a dough scraper and clean my bowl down on that. So give me just a second. I get a chance to go to Europe once or twice, well, once every 2 years, and I always make sure I get these large bread spatulas or bread scrapers. They're impossible to find here in the United States, but they're ideal for working in the kitchen. And with this, I just scrape down the side. There we go. Now this is going to sit for another hour, and you'll see the same transformation happen. We'll do another stretch and fold, then we'll do another stretch and fold, and then we're ready to go to the pan. But you'll see that this dough is gathering strength each time, becoming stronger, more elastic, extensible. baking is all about extensibility and elasticity. Extensibility is the quality where the dough grows and grows and grows. Elasticity is that it holds its shape. If you get too much elasticity, it just snaps back again. That's why we don't like to use very, very high protein flour. But if it's too extensible, then it's just going to grow and go flop. And that's what happens when you bake with spelt. If anybody bakes with spelt, spelt has this tremendous rises. You can mix your dough. It'll rise like any other wheat flour, but it goes up and then all of a sudden it gets tired. It's extending, no elasticity, and plop, it collapses. And that's great for baking flatbread at Dr. Cracker, but not so great for baking loaves of bread. Perhaps a future day we can do a spelt bread lesson, because there are some tricks to making spelt perform like regular wheat flour. Okay, so got to go to sleep again, rest, garbage bag, and that's it. Stretch and fold. But you can see how much bigger, when the dough is much bigger, the dough piece, because it's got all that air in it. And secondly, it's got a lot of integrity to it. Now it's a lot of shape. So we pick it up again, pull it and stretch it and fold it over. One more time, this is the fourth side. Stretch, fold. Now because this is still loose, I'm going to stretch it and fold it again just to give it more shape, more form, more strength. It's kind of like we're taking layers as if we're creating sheets with the gluten, and those sheets are what capture the air, the CO2 that's being produced by the yeast. That's what drives the dough upward.
Isn't that similar to puff pastry too?
Very much so. Exactly the same idea, where you have these long strands, and then you have the butter that evaporates, the water that evaporates in the butter, and that drives puff pastry up, where you can count each individual layer. So again, stretch and fold, and if you were my fingers, you could really feel the strength and resistance in this dough now. See, I can't nearly pull it as far as I did before because I've strengthened it. Every time you touch the dough, you strengthen it. Get this last side over, take it and flip it real quickly. Not going to add any more oil. There's plenty of oil here on the side, but we've got a nice compact loaf of dough, you could say. And if you remember when this was in the bowl initially, you couldn't do anything with it. It was just a batter-like substance with a little bit of integrity. Now it's actually looks like a loaf. We'll give it one more dough rest, stretch and fold, strengthen it some more, then we'll go from there to the pan. So as you see, it looks good. It's got a nice shape to it, form, but you'll also see that it still can be stretched and folded. So again, oil on the hands, step back here, so stretch once, stretch again, twice. You can see this has gotten to the point where I can't repeat this process twice. And look at all the big bubbles that are coming out of it. And you see, that's all the film and the sheets of gluten that we have developed here in this process. And we want to, people have their bumper stickers, save the whales. Bakers say, save the bubbles. So that's my motto, save the bubbles. There we go. This guy is just about ready to go on its pan.
It looks like a baby seal.
It does, I guess, you know. I haven't seen too many baby seals, but there we go.